Hope Channel, changing lives.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Real Talk here at the studios of Hope TV Ghana. My name is Evie. It's another fine Wednesday, and we have on our table a very interesting topic for discussion. You know, going to university, college, or tertiary institution, as you may have it, for most people, I could say for me, was the first time I came out of the shelter provided by my parents. And if you're someone that grew up from a very strict family or home, or where you were sheltered a lot, that would be where you would end up indulging in things that you've never ever dreamt of. And for most of us, that's when you probably have friends outside of the home. You probably for me, that was the first time sleeping out anywhere. And you are an adult. You take care of your own food. You take care of your own studies. Nobody is going to be on your neck to say, do your homework or not. That is where you begin to live life as a full adult. And sometimes, rather unfortunately, that is where you make your most mistakes. That is where you decide to do things that may not go right for you. It could be taking part in all these vices, smoking, whether it's cigarettes or weed, taking brownies, you know, being promiscuous one way or the other, whether it's with boyfriend, girlfriend relationship, what have you. And I think it's every parent's prayer that the child you take out there comes back to you the same or better. But most often, the children come back home, and some parents cannot even recognize their children. Others, too, are able to hide it so well from home. And today, we have a story on the table that is pretty sad about a young girl who has found herself in a dire situation. And the prayer is that we'll be able to help her come out of it. Because addiction is sometimes extremely difficult to break without the necessary help. And it is our hope that here at Real Talk, we are able to help her with the right solution and the right tips to get her out of it. And that is why we have found you the right people to have the right conversation, the right panelists. I'd like to remind you that we are live on Facebook, Hope TV Ghana, and YouTube, Hope TV Ghana as well. Again, this is a very interactive show. It's a talk show after all. So I would encourage you to leave your comments under the comment section, your thoughts, your opinions, whatever you may be thinking of, whether you agree or disagree, anything that you want us to talk about, you can go ahead and leave it under the comment sections of our social media platforms. Also, again, you can send us your story through our WhatsApp number or email address, whatever it is you want us to talk about. We discuss anything and everything concerning the young adult. Career, relationship, finances, daughter-mother relationship, son-father relationship, anything that you would want us to talk about. And the good news is we have writers who are ready to script your story for you. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. Let me go straight ahead and introduce my panelists to you. Obviously, you know my name is Evie. I am the host for the show. I've been doing this for a couple of years, more than a couple of years. Hope TV is 5 years, so you can imagine. We've been trying to do this for half a decade. And in the studio with me, he's no stranger. You know his face. Usually on Wednesdays as well, just before Real Talk, we have Pastor Nana Kofi Numako. Pastor, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I've been chasing you for a while.
Oh, really?
You know that.
You make it sound like something, but...
But how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah,
God has been good.
We thank God, we thank God. I can see you in your NAS print. What is going on?
Yes, so you know, next month we have our flagship program, the NAS Congress, coming up in Techiman, Valley View University campus.
Okay.
And so it's that time of the year. So we'll get to look for all those stuff. So tonight, I'm just worried just to tell the young people it's coming up. And we need a lot more people to come. And we need our parents and the church to support us as well.
Yeah, very important. Please, there you have it. Kindly support the NAS so that they will have a successful program. Joining me virtually, I have Enoch Minta Amwa. Enoch, how are you doing? I don't know, your sound is off. I don't know if it's from my end or your end. Are you muted?
I am not.
Okay, I can hear you clearly now. How are you doing? How has your week been?
I'm very well. It's not bad. God has been good.
Yeah.
We are coping. Yeah.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Joining me virtually as well, all the way in the States, I have Brenda Dia. Brenda, how are you doing today? It's good to have you in the studio once again, even if it's virtually.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I hope you're ready for the conversation.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so this is a story we've titled How My Rich Boyfriend Lured Me into Several Addictions. I'm going to read the story, then we can go into the conversations. It says, Dear Real Talk, I have always been the hope of my parents after 8 years of childlessness in their marriage. Who would have thought I would end up like this with so much guilt and endless addiction? I grew up very privileged and spoiled. I lacked nothing. My parents went above and beyond for me being the only child, and especially having a difficult fertility journey before having me. I was a good and brilliant child. I mean, I had to, because I had tutors and resources to make it easy for me. I ended up in one of the best private universities in the country. One fateful day, I decided to join my friends to go to our end-of-year dance on campus. No sooner had I settled in, a nice-looking young man walked in and walked straight up to me. We got talking and I truly enjoyed his presence, so when he offered to drive me back to my hostel, I didn't hesitate at all. We exchanged contacts and he promised to pay me a visit. He kept to his promise and visited with so many goodies. He always gave me money in an envelope, even though I really didn't need it because my parents provided all my needs. But I loved the attention his numerous cars attracted whenever he visited. He hardly repeated the same car. I knew I was the talk of campus as the girlfriend of a rich guy. My boyfriend had these tight squad he always hung out with. They were very rowdy and spirited. It was rumored they did drugs, but I didn't believe it because my guy didn't look like someone who did drugs at all. This continued for a while, and one thing stuck out to me. Once every month, my boyfriend would travel out with his squad for a weekend getaway. They would rent a whole house and be there for the entire weekend. So I asked him to take me along one day. He was very hesitant and came up with excuses. I got angry and accused him of cheating because I didn't understand why he just wouldn't take me along. He got tired of my complaints and decided to take me along one weekend. I was ecstatic. Evie, what I experienced there was like something out of a horror movie and a terrible mistake. I got into all the gory details. I can't go into all the gory details, but I have been introduced to drugs, alcoholism, sex addiction, and even prostitution. This has been going on for a while now, and I want to stop. I feel guilty, yet breaking away is so difficult. I feel so sorry for my parents, yet I can't pull myself away from this new lifestyle and the love I have for my guy. I need help, please. What do I do? Pastor, what's going through your mind? I don't even know what to think.
Well, a lot. And these are real stories, you understand? Right. These are very real stories, especially as an individual who deals extensively with young people. It will not be the first time, but you see, it's worrying because of the frequency of it. That's where it bothers. Otherwise, there are things that are happening around. And for me, I think I see a young woman who is struggling with guilt and struggling with addiction and is living in some confusion, deep-seated confusion and indecision. So I see all of these things playing in her mind. And I guess she's brought it to the right place. On Real Talk, I mean, we're always real, right? And solutions are preferred.
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. We are always here to have the candid conversation. And now, what is going through your mind? What is your general take on this story?
Evie, it's a big one. You realize the lady is in a fix and is ready to let it go. As Pastor said earlier, she is in a state of confusion now. You could realize that from what she described, it will be her wish to get out of it. Though when she's trying, it is not, she seems not to have her way out. Of course, as we delve into it, we'll see how best we can share ideas to at least help her out of this state as she is in now.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Brenda, what is your general take on this story so far?
Okay, hi. So this whole story it's kind of a thing that is going on in some schools. Like, I think my advice right now for her is like she should just calm down, seek advice from mental facilities where they can, help her with the drug addiction, and also talk to her parents. Yeah, so as time goes on, I think we can discuss further.
Yeah, we will discuss that further as time goes on. Pastor, this big girl, big boy lifestyle, I have seen it. I saw it in my university. I know you see it all the time because that is what you deal with, especially with the students. It is becoming serious. Those times you do, but you can hide small because you have this lecturer that will probably be stern or whatever. But now it's almost a trend where even kids who are from good backgrounds would want to go to school and show off. It's either they're asking for cars or the girls are asking for dresses, and when they don't have them, they do anything and everything to have them. Do you think school leadership can do something about it? Or university is, you get there when you're an adult, so nobody can really tell you the lifestyle to choose?
So you see, to start off, I think that some of these perceptions are glorified ignorance. Yes, I mean, that's simple put. That's how I'm going to capture it. They are glorified ignorance in the sense that when we are showing what we don't even understand, or there are results, but there are a lot of myths we are holding on to. That's what I mean by that. And so these are real.
Right.
I don't know, but I think that the school authorities have a role to play, certainly. Okay. I think that now a lot of things have been lowered, a lot of standards have been diluted, and this could be a cause of some of the things we are seeing around. My days in school, even as young as 14, 13, at the senior high school, it was there, where there you cannot really bring the cars and those big things on campus. But, for example, a driver is sent to bring provisions or stuff to the student or the child. And those screeching, that's how it started. We do screeching. So you take the car from the driver and then you screech, around, and people are there flowing you, giving you funds and all of that. And a higher form of it is seen in our tertiary institutions, where now you are permitted to own certain things on campus without any restrictions. What I know is that in our jurisdiction, Ghana, our tertiary institutions have rules and regulations that we must know, but enforcing it has become the issue. We think we are big boys and big girls now. We should be left to do what we want, and until you fall into a problem, that's when you realize that there are rules and regulations, governing some of the activities we do there on campus. But the big boy, big girl thing happens on campus, and I think that it is time that authorities must begin to apply those rules, because otherwise they will get out of hand. You may not know the kind of people we are churning into the society to become the leaders and all of that. All kinds of lifestyle happens on campus, but I think that we cannot continue that way.
Yeah.
What rules and regulations are there to be enforced must be seen to be enforced.
Yeah.
Especially on our public campuses. That is where those laxities are usually seen.
True.
But when you go to the private institutions, for example, where they tell you you knew A, B, C, D, and you still applied, and so you cannot come and dictate to us. There you find some of these breaks put in place to minimize greatly some of these things. That is not to say some cannot be found there
like
entirely. Okay, they are there, but most often some of these laxities and the free lifestyle kind of things are found really on the public institutions, and I think that it cannot continue. We must do something about it. Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's showing the sort of lawlessness we have in the country.
Sure.
It's showing in the sort of generation we have now.
Sure.
It's showing in our politics. It's showing in churches. We think it doesn't have an impact, but it's a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Because these are the people that are going to be what? Future leaders.
Sure.
And so it will trickle down. I'll come to you. I'm sure you've heard this YOLO. You only live once. I'm sure you've come across it. I'm sure you've heard it. I don't know if you've used it before, but it is very common in our generation. Let's discuss the youth indulging in all sorts of vices because of this YOLO. You only live once. And because you only live once, what other life do you have to experience if this is not the time you take to experience the drugs, to experience the weed, to experience the brownies, to experience the multiple sex partners, to the alcoholism, all of that. Let's discuss. What's your opinion on that? Do you think that this is something that we are struggling with as a society, or in your opinion, YOLO is just a saying, just just say it for saying sake?
Yeah, so Evie, riding on what Pastor was discussing earlier, you could realize that it's something which has come to stay in the society, and we ought to really look at it carefully. Our young ones, just as you are saying, we feel like, okay, this is the time, especially in the universities, this is the time I can ask my mom, I can ask my dad, my guardians, okay, so I need this, I need that, I live on my own, I can explore every other thing. It is happening all around our campuses in the universities. Pastor was driving home the fact that it's more rampant in the public. Not to say that it doesn't happen in the private as well, just that in the private sector you can have it a bit minimized or controlled, because especially when you go to the mission schools, some of these rules are very tight. They can even come to your hostel at any point in time, check on what's in your stuff and all. Of course, this time we think we have all the opportunities. We can make it big when we are in the tertiary institutions. So this is the case. Most of our youth indulge in this. In fact, it's a challenge in the society as we speak. It's not only about our sister now. It is happening all over. Even when you see young ones as young as 18, 17, 19, who now sometimes in the evening dress up, go out, come late in the night. It's all around us. You bypass a certain club or a certain gathering, and you see our young people over there, some drinking in their hands, having cups with all sorts of drinks you can think about. It's something which is actually happening, but I think it's the orientation our young ones have developed. So this is the time I can live, I can enjoy life. So that's where our YOLO comes in. So they resort to all other activities just to make it happen. So I'll taste the small weed, I'll taste some alcohol, I'll be smoking, go out with the ladies, and all over, go in the night, we come back as late as we can. Sometimes we don't even spend the night, if it's in the universities, in the hostels, or where we are supposed to be. We spend the night at places where we are not even obliged to be. So it is something which is actually happening, Evie, and we need to take a second look at how we are nurturing our young ones. It's becoming very rampant in our society now.
Yeah, absolutely, that's true. And you know, just the other time I was having this conversation with a friend and I said, those things that our parents used to talk about, which was smoking, the cigarettes, and they'll say, if I catch you, that is the least of the vices now.
Of course.
Now, with this millennials, Gen Zs, it will shock you when you go for house parties.
The kind of mixtures.
The kind of mixtures is scary, and the jello shots they have, and you literally see them tie themselves with a syringe, and they do cocaine. Like, sometimes I think I was listening and I say, my father will have a heart attack if he walks into this room, because the things going on is not the cigarettes and if I catch you smoking, it's hard drugs that these kids are doing, and it's so normal. And
the level of impudence.
Yes.
You know?
And it's so normal and it's so scary, because if this is what
hard drugs are the least of it. This time, these hard, you see them. Some things they will mix and smoke.
Yes.
It's terrible.
It's scary. It's literally really scary. Brenda, I'm going to come to you and I'll ask for your opinion on this idea of you live only once and how it is encouraging the youth to do anything and everything, because they'll say, after all, when I die, I can't do it again. I would ask for your opinion on that. And you are in the States. Is it the same culture there, or probably worse, if I should ask? Is it the same culture there, or is better or worse off than what we have here in Ghana?
Thank you, Evie. When it comes to the state, this situation is really bad. Like, I used to take a bus 5 years ago, and when I remember one time I closed from work, and I was sitting by one student, probably she's around 13 years, and she has this long nails. It's very long, and she was smoking in the bus. So, like, so many stuff was going through my mind. I'm like, is she allowed to do that? Who is taking care of this kid? And you see them, and like in the state right here, Denver, Colorado, weed is legalized. So you will see a young girl, a young boy smoking weed, and you can't even talk to them, because the next thing that will happen will be like a gunshot.
Wow.
They do whatever they want. Nobody cares about them, and you can't even approach them. So this YOLO thing, I feel like this situation is beyond our control, because you see these young adults, they feel like they are older than you, they can do whatever they want, and nobody is even talking about it. So we, as an Adventist, as a youth, like, if you have any younger sister or a younger brother, you have to talk to them, make friends with them, make them understand that you can't do that, because whenever you go into this alcoholism, sexual stuff, going to club and stuff like that can lead you into something. That's the connect.
It's true. And there's this thing that they say that let me experience it, and when I go and hit, I will change. But it's not everything you have to experience. It's not everything experience must teach you. Why don't you stop while you are ahead, so that you don't waste those years? Pastor, I don't know if you have more to add to the YOLO, but aside that, the role of the parent. I know people that they're in the house. They'll probably tell me I'm revealing all the secrets today. They'll wet towels, and the door, if there are any holes, they will make sure they fit the towels there and smoke the house down. and the parents are in the house, and you can't smell it, you can't tell, and they are high, and they wait for it to go down, spray, and take off the towels. Do you think that parents are doing enough? Do you think that there's a way you can make sure that your child will go into the world and still not be of the world?
So, Evie, I don't parent teenagers for now.
Yeah, for now.
But I have been a teenager before.
Right.
I have had teenage siblings before, and I am taking care of a lot of, teenagers and young adults as such. And so, you get to hear a lot of things. I cannot really say that. I think what I can say that as parents, we need to do more. I'm not too sure that parents will be happy generally to see their wards, go wayward.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking that in my mind, we need to do more because now things are getting more complex.
Yes.
With the kind of children we have nowadays, which means that, like Brenda was saying, which means that if there was ever a time in our world's history that parents must have open conversation and make their children their friends, it is in this our world. But now the kind of things they know, the kind of things they do, and how they handle these sophisticated things, gadgets we have all around us.
Right.
It's amazing. Parents go to buy them, bring them home, and cannot even use just 1% of what it is supposed to be used for. So I think that parents have a role to play even before the young people will go on the campuses, So like you're saying, for some of us, it was like that at a point in time when you realize that you'll be in school and for 3 months, it's just about you and your friends,
Yeah.
you have some liberal kind of,
Nobody's telling you
it
what
was
to do.
it was a good feeling. You understand? And I think that it took God to take some of us, through some of those times that we're not at home.
Yeah.
So I believe that whatever discipline and whatever culture we need to have our children find themselves in, it must start from the home. And I just want to reiterate that we must have open conversation, and we must be able to make friends with our young adults and our children, so that whatever is out there that they feel it's a good thing, they happen to discuss with us, and we're able to open up for them what the realities and the results are. Many of them, they look at the immediate excitement, and they forget about what the consequences will be. And so, like in our local parlance, they say that where a child will stand on a kitchen stool to see, the father or the mother will just stand and still see. So we still need our parents to guide the young people even before they go out there and start experiencing, all these kinds of things. So as parents, we have great roles to play.
Right.
Whatever we need to instill in them, whether whether we are church people, whatever the Christian tenets are, let's find a way by the grace of God to expose them to it, and it will do a great deal for them. Let them know what the options are, and let them be part of the discussion. Let it be interactive, and let them be able to see for themselves the end result of certain actions if taken, or certain activities they would indulge themselves. I remember when I was much younger, there were things I heard my dad say to me, not just to me, but every time we sat as a family, I would hear, and everybody wanted to be like their dad. When you're brought up in the bungalow setting, if your father is a production manager, you want to be a production manager one day.
Right.
So you have that vision already. And so anytime he starts speaking, you want to say that, then if I don't do this, then I can become like him, or will go even ahead of him. Those things really help some of us. So even when you want to go out vibing and chilling, it is still at the back of your mind that you must become this. So you are careful in doing so. You choose those things that will not hurt you and shun those things that will hurt you.
Absolutely. And like you said, so in this case, I don't think that type of parental control where is I have said so and so it is.
No, that thing is a thing of the past. You can't bring up children of today that way. You know? So, Evie, parents of today should learn not to be judgmental and not to be anxious. If the young people of today come to you for a discussion, only God knows how many times they have attempted and have stopped.
Right.
And when they finally do, and they find you are too anxious, they start asking themselves, what at all does mom want to hear? What at all does dad want to hear? The rest from that point are lies. They will tell you what you want to hear. If they find you are too anxious, for example, they want to start, maybe a guy met them on the way, like you're saying, introduce them to something, or even this I love you stuff. And they come home, they're like, Mommy, today when I went out, at the market square, after I bought the tomatoes and I was going, a young man called me and what? Right. Once you come out that way, and I told them, I am the first elder of that church daughter. How can you call me and place me and talk to me? They will tell you what you want to hear. So we need not to be anxious with our young people. Let's have an open and honest, sincere discussion with them. Let them be able to feel free, create that environment for them to say what is on their heart, so we can guide them.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. Thank you, Pastor. Enoch, I'll come to you again, and obviously you can speak on the parental role to play here, and from all that Pastor has said, which is true, because personally for me, in the university, even when friends are doing stuff that you are afraid to dabble in, the things that probably drew me back were those silent disappointment on my father's face. My father doesn't really talk. He will just look at you and you get the message. He's a superintendent, so he will just look at you and you get the message. And it was those looks and the disappointments that probably drew me back from saying, oh, let me also try.
Sure.
And my mother always said this thing that everybody will do, only you go and do. And you're in trouble. Yes. And so those were the things that drew me back. So I do believe that sometimes how you are parented helps in this situation, because the little voice you hear here and there as you're about to double, it's almost like the Holy Spirit talking to you. Don't do this, don't do that. And what is your take on that, the role the parents have to play? Do you think they are doing enough? Do you think there's more to be done? Do you think we should change our tactics? The parents should change their way of bringing up these children in this Gen Z, millennials. I always say I'm afraid of the Gen Alphas. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yes, the Gen Z people, in fact, what they are coming up is even more dangerous.
Oh, yeah, all this the millennials right now, we are old people.
Yes. So, a little to add up to what Pastor said, I think he has made it clear. You see, I think for some time past, our parents were looking at that period and how things were done. Pastor has said it. Now there is total change in the lifestyle of our young ones. What they see, what they hear, what they engage in is totally different. So what I may add is an open discussion, open, fruitful, open, honest communication with them. They will be able to open up and let us know exactly what they are going through, what they experience in school, what they experience when they go out. We can also look at also advising that we try to set some boundaries, but not so much, because when you are strict on them too and they get a chance, it's something what will happen if I go through this?
Right.
So let's also switch what's in the home, academic pursuits, some actions in the house, some sports, which will off some of they may get in when they go out there. Some of these things will eventually help if our parents look at that. But if we try to get to those times where we, hey, Kofi, if you do this, Pastor, not you. If you do this will happen to you.
Right.
Or that. No? And when we go that way, currently our Gen Z people, they will not even. Currently, if you look, even the young ones, the 1, 2, 3.
The alphas, the Gen Alphas.
Trust me, when yes, you are telling, hey, stop. Then you will look at you.
They'll ask you
Stop.
why.
Then you go that is the same place that
Yeah.
the child will go. So we look at how best we can balance these and to help our young ones.
Absolutely. I think the world has changed so much that the old way of doing things will not give you the same results. I had this friend that would tell me that her mother would intentionally drive her through mad people and point them out and see, if you do drugs, this is what will happen to you. You know, it was a fear tactic. And up to now, she still has that at the back of her mind. I don't know if that approach will help with this generation. They'll probably question you and say that person probably did. They are so smart. So as a parent, you just have to be extra smart. You have to go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at finally how we can get out of this problem. This one that she says she loves the boy and all that. We'll see if she has to remove herself from that boyfriend, find herself back, if she has to talk to her parents, the right channel for her to go through, if the school authority has something to do, and the church as well has a role to play. We'll be back after the break. Do not go anywhere. This is Real Talk.
Kumasi, Ghana, Africa, Europe, Asia, North America, South America, Australia. Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm so excited. From the 1st of October to the 7th of October, God is sending us to Kumasi, the Beulah Seventh-day Adventist Church, for a 1-week evangelistic series. We have captioned the price for the prize. Wherever you are in the world, I invite you to join us every evening 6:30 for us to study God's word together. Please look for Beulah Seventh-day Adventist Church on YouTube and on Facebook. Subscribe to their channel so that you get automatic response when we are about to start. Wherever you are in the world, you can join us every night. I look forward to meeting you. Jesus is coming again. Let us get ready. And I'm asking you to do one thing for me. Pray for me. Pray for the crew. Pray for the team that God will bring some harvest home. Our textbook is going to be the Holy Bible. Make sure whenever you join us in the evenings, you come with your Bible. Kumasi, please let's be at Beulah. Beulah is at Kwaraso Estate in Kumasi every evening from the 1st to the 7th of October. God richly bless you. I look forward to meeting you. Tell others, to also tell others, so that a lot of people will God bless you.
As a small business owner, Mitaisha Business Forum, our Hope channel, it really helps me with my business.
Don't let your priorities be because obi eye bibinti. Also we share some why there. Why one kasa sawasa. So we journey we be an.
Okay.
Obi ani need so that unko fa a problem
In the first place, business a risk.
Okay.
It's just all about risk. Now person with your business, so now you need you should be a risk taker.
Okay.
I would recommend it to you too. Mesresa also beshebi.
From that quick break. We are still in the studios of Hope TV Ghana, coming your way with Real Talk. I have been doing this with Pastor Nimako, Enoch Minta, and Brenda Dua. We are still talking about the young girl who says her boyfriend has lured her into several addictions. We are talking about drugs, we are talking about prostitutions, we are talking about alcoholism, just horrible, horrible vices. And I want to read some of the comments before we go into it. Helena Answer says, sometimes it's in the best interest of the parents when there's a delay in childbearing or when couples don't conceive. Our ways are not the ways of God. God already knows best. This is heartbreaking. May the Lord send you help. I pray that the Lord Almighty will touch you with his righteous right hand in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Gideon says, very sad and touching, but remember there's nothing God cannot do. He will surely help you out. Shrem Joseph says, get her a counselor ASAP. That chain must be broken. It's not late. Whilst at it, our ladies should be aware of what is out there and take proper decisions for themselves. Eric Soa says, this is very, very sad. Indeed, it is sad. King says, this is beyond the physical and your strength. Tell your parents everything. You have just told us, and let them help you in prayers. Lord, someone says, all is not lost. Take a bold decision. Okay, I don't want the time to be fast spent. Pastor, obviously, I'll come to you with this one. We are concerning the church and what they can do. Do you think that the church can play a role here, or you think training the child is obviously the parents' first responsibility, but how can the church help the young people in this situation? Because the truth is, it is in the church. We can pretend however we want to pretend. We can be hypocritical about it, but the youth in schools are the same youth in our church. They are not two different people, so they are doing it. How can we get them to the understanding that this is not the way to go?
Yes, so like you said, you're right. It isn't just the responsibility of parents, but the church is a major, major stakeholder in the upbringing of the young people. You know, so now if you come to Ghana, for example, the last time I checked, the median age is just around 20.7 years, which means a relatively young country. And that kind of picture will be found also in the church. So we have more of the young people in the church than the elderly, and so we have a role to play. So the church has groupings where the young people are also nurtured. So, for example, we have the youth ministries, we have the young ladies, and we also have like trauma and healing clubs. We have set some of these clubs in the churches, and the programs are strategically designed to nurture them. Spiritually, physically, psychologically, emotionally, and all that you can think of. So the church start up with those ones. So what it is that parents must make sure that their kids would get interested in those activities of the church by encouraging them to attend. So you remind them that, you know, this week you have these church meetings to attend, and then you have an open discussion with them what they stand to benefit. Sometimes you can share life stories with them, even though yours may be in the 90s. It still has some bearing on what it is today.
Absolutely.
Then in the church, we must put the right people there. I am saying things as it is because of the group I work with in the church. You know, if they get to the universities, they get to the colleges of education, and they get to the SHSs, and when they come home and the meetings are just like one of those, whoever comes to stand before them has not really prepared. Whoever comes to stand before them cannot measure up to them.
Cannot even relate or understand.
Exactly. And does not understand what time it is for them.
Absolutely.
To be able to reach them. Then they begin to find problem with such meetings, and so they would stay away from such meetings. And so the church must create the right environment. We must have some revered elderly people, including pastors, you know, attending these youth meetings, if we leave it to them and one of them just go to stand and start reading out to them and cannot really explain to them what those stuff are, then it becomes a problem. And so the church will not just put those clubs, those groupings there, get manuals for them and leave them, but we must be actively involved in some of these things. Number 3, the young people must be given roles to play in church. You know, when you do that, you make them responsible. So for example, there is this group, I'm just making examples. So you have a Sabbath school team, and then you have, let's say, 4 elderly people and 2 young people. You understand? It's a way to nurture them. And again, they find themselves to be responsible, so that if they walk outside and before they want to say A, they think of it like A. Not just like I'm a Christian, but you know, I play specific roles in the church and all of that, you know, and also make the church environment more creative for them to enjoy, you know, not to, that is far away from compromising on things that are not really the truth or what, but it is all to create an environment where you get them so they can open up to you, and then you in turn can also help them. These are some of the things I think that the church must do. Finally, and then my friends will also come in, is now the church going the extra mile and visiting them there in the schools. And we must be very strategic with that. We can set up individuals and schedule them. That, for example, next month we'll be visiting, because we know where our children are. Maybe some of them are in these secondary schools, some of them are in these colleges of education or nursing training college, or some of them are in this university. We group them. So we have, let's say in a quarter, we have a month where certain elders and certain elderly people, including maybe young professionals, you know, are designated to those campuses to visit with them, sometimes even to worship with them. All right, because in the universities where I serve as the PCM director, you know, we have very strong fellowships, very, very strong ones. So when they find, you know, people from the local churches coming to visit with them, it shows them the level of interest the church has in them, and the general church has in them, and all of that. And when you go, you have a first hand of what they go through and all of that. You know, when there are some that are not even attending church, because they know that this month or this year, I mean this quarter, it could be any time they could come visiting, and doesn't want that kind of report to be said about them. Even pushes them to come to church. And when they come to church, they hear A, B, C, D, and it goes a long way to add up to the reformation of some of these young people. So for me, I think that the church, the local church, the local setting has some structures to take care of, must have some structures to take care of them. The structures must not just be there. And then the extra mile will be now to visit with them in those new environments they find themselves. You know, pray with them, send them bits and pieces of provisions and stuff that they will need, and pray with them, encourage them. And so when they come home, they feel obliged, you know, and indebted to the church. And so they have no choice but to come and still be a part of that beautiful community.
True, and when you know that the church is looking up to you, it's more difficult to be disappointed to the church. Yeah, Brenda, I'll come to you before I go to Enoch. How can this girl be saved? What are some of the practical steps you think she can take to seek help? And then your final words for her.
Okay, so first, the parents' part, I find it difficult. Like, some of our parents don't understand us. They have to make friends with us, because sometimes you did something wrong, and then your parent will be like, "Akoshia, I didn't do it. That has like in Tetiamuno. I know sometimes say it too much." Oh yeah, because I will for break you know, your country now, we better see.
Oh, true.
You to enter mungu yembano so too much. We should make friends with them. Trust them. We'll make you friends. I do a grandpa when you do 18 years and above. Wakwa kofa boy, but obeka shred the parents in the grandpa no. Osro because of the bad, they won't be siaki the church too.
Yeah.
So the church to our parents day, I will say Obia our church mother and our church dad was sorry him because so you make you friends with the kids now. I know sometimes omut me open up more. I have one woman who is here. Sometimes if I don't go to church or not a befriend, I check it. I could say, are you coming to church or not? You need transportation or something like that. So we should make friends with them, encourage them. Or ye bibina se wuhua. At times once ye maya ye short dresses. Ye body near the bar, sorry. Some of them they were obviously kind of basano. But I have one woman, one time me shata and may I call it that it or treatment or say. And that there was a Ruby because you're why a friend of dog. So we make some kind of joke. It's more if they're doing something wrong, you see, so there may and yet me mammy will or Becca. So let me change it. And my last final words will be like what advice I have for the young lady is she should seek for medical attention because it's not always about advices on a bit to me I help it.
Okay.
Medical attention too will help because the drug addiction is very bad. You have to seek for medical attention, meditate, pray about it. And through God, everything will be possible. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you so much, Brenda. And now coming to you, what are some of the practical ways this girl can seek help? How can she be saved? And then your final words for her.
Okay, so I think she can confide in someone, people in positions like counselors, psychologists, pastors of high repute, so that she can open up more to those people. I think Brenda said something on seeking medical attention. I will also add professional help, therapist, somebody who is well trained to do that. And I would also say if it's also to that extreme, maybe treatment at the rehab will not also be bad.
Right.
I mean, so that she can be of herself. One thing she also needs to do is to forgive herself. She should know that it's a state in which she is now. She should relax, forgive herself, and get back on her feet. She will be fine.
Yeah.
She just needs the right people currently, the right people to be with at the moment, and I think she can pick up from there.
Yeah, absolutely, surely. Absolutely. But I forgot to ask Brenda, should she leave that boyfriend alone? Should that be the first step?
Okay, so the guy part, I don't think like it's right for her to leave him right now because
really?
You people are going through the same thing. Both of them need to seek that attention and advice.
Okay.
So if like leaving the guy is like you are pushing yourself away from something that needs to be helped too, because the guy needs help
as well.
It's not just the
okay. Enoch, what do you think?
I think it should be gradual.
Okay.
It should be gradual.
Okay.
It should be gradual.
Okay.
Of course, when you are heading towards the pit, I mean, it should get to the point that where you realize that no, I'm heading towards it, and make friends of God's children. If that is not helping, why not? You need to draw away from it.
Right.
But it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come easy. She really needs to take time and gradually, with help she'll be able to. She should be able to move away from it, and
All right.
it should be fine.
Got you. Pastor, how can this girl be here? What should
But
she
you know,
do?
overcoming
Final
addiction
word.
actually is a gradual process.
Right.
And seeking assistance from professionals is very crucial. You know, the Bible says that in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, says that evil company corrupts good morals.
Yeah.
You know, this young woman in the write-up says that this boy lured her
Yes.
into it.
Yes.
So obviously it's a bad deal for her.
Yeah.
So, treating the addiction, gradual process, yes. But stopping with that guy and leaving that
Fast.
company is a must.
Fast.
There's something, we cannot tie the two together.
Right.
She must leave.
Yeah.
And you know, she's dealing with guilt. Evie, I have seen young people who want to beat themselves in line because of guilt. And I have said that guilt is cancerous.
Yeah.
If you don't deal with it, it will eat you up. And so dealing with guilt is something else. And you find her, you know, all the training, all the expectations of her parents, all that she wanted to do in future are like crumbling before her as she writes. And that's why she should be able to, like Enoch said, she should learn to forgive herself. That is the first and foremost thing she must do. Dealing with the guilt means that you must forgive yourself. You must go to God and ask for forgiveness. And then you yourself must forsake those things. And Paul rightly says that stay away from all evil appearances. You know, and so the more you stay in that company, the more you get to do those things that, because already the thing is in your system and you crave and yearn and want to stop. You cannot stop, and yet you keep company of such individuals. The most likely thing is that you find yourself doing it again, the more you feel guilty about it. You see, when it comes to addiction, I think that there are some very practical things people must do. She should, apart from looking for therapists and all of that, she should also look for people who, like support groups, people who are in the same kind of situation and how they have overcome those things. When you stay with them and they share their life stories and experiences with you, you get to do that as well. And you must have an established routine, you know, exercise, playing time. You must redirect that energy, that thing that makes you desire and yearn for those things. You must redirect them by getting yourself engaged in some other things. Of course, you can also use church meetings as one of those, a method of, you know, because you went into it and did it over a time. That is why you have become addicted to it.
That's true.
The reverse is difficult, but it is also true that when you have redirected those energies for some time, now you get used to this aspect also, and you are able to free yourself from it. She must do everything possible to be able to get out of some of these. And then, of course, there is another critical thing, Evie. She must identify. So I'm looking at it from more general, because he talked about sex, he talked about alcohol, he talks about that.
Drugs.
But triggers, she must look out for those triggers, and as and when they are coming, she should find, those are the times she should find herself some particular places or do some particular habits.
Right, absolutely. I completely agree. And even if she decides to go to rehab, the guy is a trigger. That is her number one trigger. He led her, so she associates these activities with him. And so if she can get away from him, that is a step, and all the others, forgiving herself and all that. Thank you guys so much for coming. Time always runs fast when we are having these conversations. Thank you so much, Pastor, for coming. And
thank you for having me.
Yes, wishing you all the best next month with the work ahead.
Next month we're seeing and meeting all the young people there at Techiman.
Techiman, you guys had it right. Enoch, thank you so much for coming. It's good to have you. And Brenda, thank you as well for joining us too. We'll be back same time next week with another interesting conversation. But until then, our hope is that this girl takes these tips, she finds the right right people to have the right conversation. Trust me, your parents love you beyond measure. Looking at how you are saying they struggle to get you, there will be the people running to get you all the help you need. So do not hide it. Talk to them. They'll find you the right people. And I'm sure you'll be okay. And then pray, because obviously with God, everything is possible. Please continue to stay tuned to Hope TV. Enjoy the rest of our content. We'll be back same time next week with yet another interesting conversation. My name is Evie, and I did this with Pastor Nimaku, Enoch Minta, and Brenda Dia. We'll be back same time next week. Good night.